A gunshot shattered the night. She dropped to the floor instinctively, her heart hammering against the cold tiles of the mansion's hallway. Screams echoed from outside, followed by the rumble of men shouting orders in a language she barely understood. The guards rushed past her, guns raised, boots thundering like a stampede. She pressed her palms to her ears, trembling, thinking, "What kind of hell have I been dragged into?" Just minutes earlier, she had been standing inside a strange, silent mansion, her wedding night to a man she barely knew. Now, chaos tore through the walls. She forced herself to crawl behind a column, trying to breathe, when a large hand grabbed her shoulder and yanked her upright. "Move," he said, calm, deep, terrifyingly steady. It was him, her new husband, the Korean Mafia boss whose name carried dread like a curse. He didn't even flinch at the explosions outside. Instead, he pulled her behind him as bullets cracked against the reinforced windows. She stumbled after him, barefoot, breathless. "What's happening? Who's attacking? Please, talk to me." He didn't answer. He shoved open a door, guided her inside, and slammed it shut. The heavy steel lock clicked into place. Only then did he turn to her. His face, sharp jaw, cold eyes, a scar slicing across his eyebrow, was unreadable. There was no fear in his expression, no urgency. Just calculation, just control. "You're safe," he said. She pressed her back to the wall, chest rising too fast. "Safe? Are you insane? I heard actual gunshots." He didn't blink. "If I wanted you dead, you would be dead," he said simply. "Relax." Her breathing hitched, not because of his words, those were horrifying enough, but because something in the way he looked at her felt too familiar, like he recognized her, like he'd been waiting for her. She swallowed hard and forced herself to stand straighter. What kind of marriage is this? Why am I even here? You could have married any woman willing to be part of whatever this is. His gaze flicked over her slowly. "I don't marry for willingness." Then his eyes locked onto hers, dark and intense. "I marry for purpose." A shiver crawled up her spine. She didn't know what that meant, but she didn't get the chance to ask. A guard knocked on the steel door. Her husband opened it slightly, listened to rushed Korean, then shut it again. "We'll go downstairs in a moment," he said. "Until then, stay close." She hugged herself. Why me? Why this? My family had debts, okay? But why marriage? He leaned against the table, arms crossed. "That's not the real reason." She froze. "What are you talking about?" "That man said, 'Your family owes us money,'" he interrupted. "But I chose you long before that." Her pulse jumped. "Excuse me?" The corner of his mouth lifted, not quite a smile. Something colder. "You really don't remember me, do you?" She blinked at him. Her mind raced, flipping through faces from her past, from childhood, from school. But nothing fit. No one like him had ever looked at her like this. He pushed off the table and stepped closer. She tensed, back hitting the wall again. He stopped only a breath away, close enough that she could smell the clean, cold scent of his cologne. His voice dropped to a murmur. "We've met before." Her throat tightened. "Where?" He didn't answer. Not yet. Instead, he turned away and unlocked the steel door again. "We're moving. The attack is under control." She followed him out, legs shaky. The hallways smelled faintly of gunpowder, but the guards seemed calmer now. They walked through a dim corridor toward a hidden staircase that spiraled downward. The sound of distant shouting faded the deeper they descended. Halfway down the staircase, she dared to speak again. "What do you mean we've met? I would have remembered someone like you." He didn't turn. You did. You just don't want to. Her breath caught. That didn't make sense. Why would she forget a Mafia boss? A man this dangerous? A man whose presence felt like gravity and threat combined? They reached a basement room. Luxurious, warm, designed like a panic-safe suite. The moment the door sealed shut, he sat on the arm of a sofa and watched her as if studying reactions like they were pieces of a puzzle. "Tell me," she said softly. "Who are you to me?" He raised a brow. "You want the truth?" "Yes," she whispered. He leaned forward slightly. "All right." Silence stretched as he held her gaze. "I was the boy who sat behind you in high school." Her heart stopped. Her mind tripped. Her mouth parted, but no sound came. He watched her expression shift, watched her thoughts scramble. Then he spoke again. "And I was the boy who pushed you into lockers, the boy who hid your notebooks, the boy who watched you flinch." She stared at him, stunned. Her breath turned shallow and light. She shook her head once, twice, disbelieving. "No," she rasped. "No, that's impossible. He wasn't—" She swallowed. "He wasn't you." His voice lowered. "He was exactly me." Her hands trembled. Memories slammed into her. Classrooms, hallways, whispered mocking laughter behind her ear. The feeling of humiliation, shame, fear. Her high school bully, her tormentor, her husband. She stumbled backward until she hit the wall. "Why? Why would you force me into this marriage? After everything you did? After how you treated me?" His jaw flexed. "Because I never got over you." Her stomach dropped. "That wasn't hate," he continued quietly. "I just didn't know what to do with the way you made me feel." She stared at him like he was shape-shifting in front of her. He wasn't that teenage boy anymore. He was a man carved out of violence and danger and power, and that made the truth even more terrifying. He stood up, walking toward her slowly. Her pulse pounded. He stopped in front of her again. Close enough she felt his breath. "You don't have to love me," he murmured. "You don't even have to like me." His fingers lifted, grazing her wrist before she could move away. "But you're mine now, and I protect what's mine." Fear and anger crashed together in her chest. She yanked her hand back. "I'm not yours. I will never be yours." He gave a low chuckle. "You can say that for now." The intercom buzzed. A guard reported the situation was stable. He pulled away from her, his expression shifting back to hard, cold authority. "We'll finish this conversation later," he said. She didn't reply. Couldn't reply. Her entire world had just cracked open, and he wasn't done with her. She stayed pressed against the wall long after he left the room. Her breathing felt uneven, her thoughts tangled so tightly she couldn't separate one from another. He was my bully, my actual bully, and now he's my husband? Her eyes burned, but she refused to cry. She wouldn't give him that satisfaction. Not now, not ever. Minutes later, the steel door opened again. A guard stepped inside, a broad man with a shaved head and an expression carved out of stone. "Boss wants you upstairs," he said. "I'm not going anywhere with you." The guard didn't flinch. "You can walk alone, or I can carry you. Choose." Her stomach twisted. She hated it here, hated the cold walls, the dangerous men, the suffocating fear. But most of all, she hated him, her high school demon wearing a Mafia crown. She followed the guard out, though her steps were slow, reluctant. Upstairs, the mansion had regained its eerie stillness. Guards returned to their posts, the chaos replaced by a professional silence that felt just as dangerous. She was led to a large room with floor-to-ceiling windows. The city lights poured in behind him as he stood there, hands clasped behind his back, posture relaxed but commanding. He didn't turn when she entered. "Sit," he said. She didn't move. "I'm not your dog." He turned his head slightly, just enough for her to see the dangerous curve of his mouth. "No," he said. "You're my wife." She clenched her fists. "Not by choice." "You had a choice," he replied, voice cool. "Your family's survival, or your freedom." "You manipulated everything." He finally faced her fully. "I gave you options. You just didn't like any of them." She trembled with anger. "Why me? Why not some woman who worships you? Why drag me back into your life after all these years?" His answer came too fast, too sharp. "Because I never stopped thinking about you." It stunned her into silence. For a moment she saw past the ruthless exterior, saw something raw, something broken. But she quickly smothered the thought. She refused to feel sympathy for him. She crossed her arms. "You bullied me. You made my life miserable." He didn't deny it. "I know. You humiliated me. Yes. You hurt me, emotionally, psychologically, every single day." His jaw tightened. "I know. I regret it." She blinked, thrown off. "You... what?" "I regret it," he repeated. "But I can't undo it. I can only restructure our future." "By forcing me to marry you?" "It was either that," he said softly, "or letting someone else take you. Someone who wouldn't protect you." She stepped back slowly. "You talk like I'm a possession." He held her gaze. "You are to them. But to me..." He walked toward her, each step deliberate. She swallowed hard but stood her ground. "To me," he murmured. "You're my past, my unfinished story, my mistake and my obsession." Her breath caught in her throat. The intensity in his eyes made her chest tighten with fear and something else, something she didn't want to name. She snapped her attention away. "I'm going to find a way out of here." "Try," he said simply. "I won't stop you." She froze. His tone was too calm, too confident. He leaned closer and whispered, "But the world outside will." His hand reached up as if to touch her cheek, but stopped just before he made contact. "Stay," he said quietly. "Not because of me. Because out there you won't last a day." She forced her voice steady. "I would rather die running than live as your prisoner." The words struck him harder than she expected. Something flickered in his eyes. Pain. Anger. It vanished before she could understand it. "Dinner is downstairs," he said coldly. "You will join me?" "Absolutely not." He tilted his head. "Then you will starve." She lifted her chin, refusing to break. "Fine," she said. "I won't eat." "Then faint," he replied. "It makes no difference to me." Her heart twisted painfully. That was a lie. She felt it. She would have felt it in the way his gaze lingered 1 second too long, in the way he positioned himself slightly between her and the guards, in the way he never let her stay out of his sight for long. "Why do you look at me like that?" she blurted. He blinked, surprised she noticed. "Like what?" he asked. "Like you're studying me. Like I'm important." He said nothing for a long moment. Then, "Because you are." Her stomach fluttered, an unwelcome reaction she immediately crushed. She couldn't let him get into her head. She started pacing the room. "Do you expect me to just adjust? To pretend you didn't torment me growing up? To ignore the fact that you run a criminal empire?" He watched her quietly. "I don't expect you to pretend. I only expect you to survive." She stopped pacing. "Why do you talk like someone is coming for me?" He hesitated. That alone scared her. He exhaled slowly. Because taking you wasn't just a marriage contract. It was a declaration of war. Her pulse jumped painfully. On who? Everyone who wants leverage over me. She grabbed the edge of a table to steady herself. So I'm a human shield? No, he said, stepping closer again. You're the reason they'll hesitate. She glared. So I'm bait. No, he repeated. You're the consequence. Before she could respond, a guard entered the room. Boss, the perimeter is clear, but we found a tracking device near the east gate. His husband's expression hardened instantly. Handle it. The guard left. Silence filled the room again. He rubbed his temples and turned away, speaking more to himself than to her. They're getting too close. She swallowed. Who is they? People from my past, he murmured. People who want what I own. Then he turned, eyes burning into hers. And that includes you. Her breath stilled. Why? She whispered. His voice deepened. Because I married you. That makes you mine. And anything that belongs to me becomes a target. Her stomach twisted with dread. He stepped closer. Way too close. But I will protect you, he said, voice low. Even if it kills me. Tension crackled between them like static. It wrapped around her throat, her chest, her very lungs. She wanted to hate him. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run. Instead, she whispered, I don't trust you. He nodded once. Good. What? His eyes narrowed slightly. Fear keeps you alive. She felt her own heartbeat slam against her ribs. He moved to the door, then paused. Dinner, he said again. You're coming. And if I refuse? He didn't smile, didn't threaten, didn't raise his voice. He simply said, You won't. He was right. Not because he commanded her, but because she needed answers. She followed him out quietly. But inside, a storm was brewing. A storm of memories, rage, confusion, and something else. Something dangerous. Something she didn't want to feel. Not for him. Never for him. The dining room felt like a scene from a nightmare. Beautiful, elegant, golden lights hanging from the ceiling. A long polished table set for two. Yet surrounded by armed guards at every corner. It felt more like a negotiation chamber than a place to eat. She hesitated at the doorway, unsure whether to step in or turn back. He pulled out a chair for her. She eyed it. I can pull my own chair. I know, he said, but I want to do it. She sat reluctantly. He took the seat at the head of the table, close enough to speak to her, but far enough to maintain authority. The servers entered, placing dishes in front of them. Steaming rice, grilled beef, vegetables arranged neatly. Everything looked delicious. She hated that her stomach growled. She picked up her chopsticks slowly while he watched her. You're staring again, she muttered. I always stare at things I want, he replied. Her cheeks heated instantly. She set the chopsticks down. Stop talking like that. Is it making you uncomfortable? Yes. Good. She glared. Why is everything with you about control? Why can't you talk like a normal human being? He leaned back slightly. I haven't lived a normal life. I don't speak like one. She stabbed a piece of beef with her chopsticks. You didn't have to drag me into it. He didn't reply. Instead, he watched her eat, a slight tension around his eyes she couldn't quite read. When she finally met his gaze, she snapped. What now? Did I eat wrong too? His jaw tightened. You haven't eaten since morning. You're shaking. I'm fine. You're not. I said I'm fine. His voice dropped. And I said you're not. Her eyes widened, startled by the sharpness of his tone. The guards near the walls stiffened slightly, as if used to responding to even the smallest shift in his mood. She swallowed and looked away. You don't get to worry about me. A beat of silence. He spoke quietly. I already do. She hated how her chest tightened at that. She shoved another bite into her mouth just to keep from responding. Halfway through the meal, she finally asked, What happened earlier? Why were we attacked? His expression cooled. A rival group wants control. They've been circling for weeks. And me? What do I have to do with it? His fingers tapped the table once. Everything! I'm not involved in your world. You are now. I didn't ask to be. That changes nothing. She dropped the chopsticks. You kidnapped me. I married you. Against my will. He held her gaze. Your family agreed. I didn't. That, he said softly, is the part that bothers me the most. Her breath hitched. He continued, voice low. I wanted you to say yes. I wanted you to choose me. Even once. Her head shook in disbelief. Choose you? After everything you did to me in school? You want me to choose the person who made me hate waking up in the morning? He winced. Barely, but she saw it. I was young. He murmured. That's not an excuse. No. He agreed. It's not. He stood from the table and walked towards the window. The city lights illuminated the edges of his face. Sharp lines, hardened shadows, scars no one his age should have. His voice carried a weight deeper than the room around them. I didn't know how to be gentle with anyone. I didn't know what to do with the emotions I had for you. So I lashed out. He looked over his shoulder. I ruined you. I know that. Her throat tightened, emotions swirling painfully. Anger, sadness, confusion. Everything mixed until she didn't know which to hold on to. Why tell me this now? She whispered. He turned fully. Because you need to understand something. He walked back slowly, stopping directly beside her chair. I don't expect you to love me. I don't expect forgiveness, but I will say this once. He leaned down slightly, his voice a quiet rumble. I will not hurt you again. Ever. Her breath trembled. He straightened then, breaking eye contact. Eat. You need strength. She didn't touch the food again. He sighed. You're still stubborn. Should I be grateful? His lips twitched. It's the only reason you survived me back then. The admission stung. She pushed away from the table and stood. I need air. He immediately shook his head. Not outside. I'm not asking to leave the mansion, she snapped. Just somewhere I can breathe. He studied her face for a long moment. Then he nodded to a guard. Escort her to the indoor garden. Stay close. I don't need a babysitter. You're not getting one, he said. You're getting protection. She followed the guard out reluctantly. The mansion's indoor garden was shockingly peaceful. Tall plants, soft lights, a small water fountain trickling quietly. She sat on a stone bench, sighing deeply. A voice spoke from behind the plants. You hate him. She jumped, startled. A young woman, maybe in her 20s, stepped out from the shadows. She wore a maid's uniform, but her posture was too confident for a simple servant. Who are you? She asked. The girl smiled slightly. Someone who knew him before he became this. Do you work here? Yes. Then why are you hiding? The girl shrugged. If he saw me talking to you alone, he'd get tense. Why tense? Because you're the only person who affects him. Her stomach tightened. That's not true. Oh, it is. The girl sat beside her, hands on her lap. He's never married, never dated, never let anyone close. You should see the way the guards react. They've never seen him like this. She shook her head. He's possessive, obsessed, not emotional. The girl laughed softly, He's a Mafia boss. Possessiveness is the closest thing to affection you'll get. She didn't answer. The girl stared at her curiously. You know, you kind of look like him. She blinked. What? Not facially, the girl corrected. But in the way you walk. You're guarded like someone who's always been forced to defend herself. She looked away. That's because of him. The girl's eyes softened. Then maybe you're exactly what he needs. She turned sharply. I'm what he trapped. The girl lowered her voice. He didn't trap you for power. Trust me. If he wanted a strategic marriage, he could have married the daughter of any syndicate leader. Then why me? The girl's answer was immediate. Because he never got over you. Her heart thudded. Before she could respond, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Guard straightened. She looked up to see him standing there, watching her with an unreadable expression. The maid bowed quickly and slipped away. He approached slowly. You left dinner abruptly. I needed space. I can give you space, he said softly, but not distance. She frowned. What does that even mean? It means, he said, stepping closer. I'm not letting you go. Her pulse quickened. You're safe here, he added. With me. She shook her head. You're the reason I'm not safe. His eyes hardened. I am the reason you're still alive. The tension between them thickened. Frustration, fear, and something dangerously close to attraction. She looked away. I want to sleep. Alone. He hesitated, then nodded. I'll have a room prepared. As she walked past him, he spoke again, quietly, almost reluctantly. I meant what I said earlier. She paused. I will never hurt you again. She didn't turn around. You already did. And she walked away, leaving him frozen in the dim garden light. Her scream echoed in the burning courtyard as he dragged her behind the overturned granite table, just as another explosion shook the mansion. Shards of marble rained down, dust rising like smoke. She pressed her hands to her ears, heart hammering out of her chest. He crouched in front of her, shielding her again, jaw clenched so tight she could see a vein pulsing along his neck. Stay with me, he said, voice rough, breath uneven. Don't shut down on me now. I can't breathe, she whispered. Everything is... My head, this is too much. She wasn't crying. She was trembling too violently for tears to even form. He grabbed her shaking hands, pulling them away from her ears, forcing her eyes to lock onto his. If you freeze, you die. Do you hear me? He cupped the sides of her face with both hands, thumbs brushing her cheeks. Breathe. Right here. With me. His forehead touched hers, grounding her, steadying her. She inhaled. Shallow. Shaky. Then again. The world stopped spinning for half a second. Then gunfire cracked through the walls. He grabbed her wrist and pulled her to her feet. We move now. They dashed toward the side exit, debris exploding behind them. He fired back at the attackers, narrowly missing a man aiming at her head. She stumbled, slipping on shattered glass. He caught her by the waist, yanked her upright, and practically pushed her into the shadowed hallway. You're getting shot at because of me, she yelled over the chaos. I shouldn't be here. This isn't my world. You became part of my world the second they tried to take you from me. He shot back. The hallway lights flickered, then cut out completely, plunging everything into darkness. A heavy silence fell. Too silent. She could hear only their breathing and footsteps approaching. Not his, not hers. Stay behind me, he whispered. She didn't argue. Her figure lunged from the darkness. The Mafia boss reacted faster than thought, slamming an elbow into the attacker's throat, then twisting his arm until a bone snapped. Another came from behind, but the boss blocked the blow and rammed the man into the wall. "They're after you," he hissed, panting. "Someone leaked that I have a weakness now." "Me?" Her voice cracked. "I'm your weakness." "Yes," he said without hesitation. Before she could even process that, another grenade exploded somewhere in the east wing, rattling the walls. He grabbed her hand and pulled her down a tighter hallway that led to a hidden staircase. They rushed down. The space opened into a dim underground garage. The sprinklers were malfunctioning, spraying sporadically like rainfall in the wrong world. A black SUV waited at the far end. "Get in!" he shouted, firing at shadows. She sprinted, slipping on water. He shoved her into the back seat, slammed the door, then got into the driver's seat. He revved the engine and sped toward the exit, only for 3 rival cars to block the path. "No, no, no," she whispered. He reached behind, grabbed her by the chin, forcing her to look at him. "Whatever happens, you do not get out of this car. Do you understand me?" "But—" "Say it. I understand." He nodded and stepped out of the vehicle. Alone. She hit the window. "No, come back. What are you doing?" He didn't turn around. He walked forward like a man who had already accepted death, gun lowered, shoulders squared. The rival Mafia members aimed their weapons. She hit the window again, chest tight, breath gone. "Don't kill him! Please! Please!" They didn't hear her. Or they didn't care. The boss spoke first. "You want me. You don't need her." One of the men laughed. "We want both, but killing you first makes our message louder." She covered her mouth, frozen in horror. The first gun lifted. And then a shot rang out. But not from the rivals. From behind. Them. His men, reinforcements, flooded the garage, firing precision shots that took the attackers down in seconds. She gasped, collapsing back into the seat. Her entire body went limp. He turned around slowly, searching for her through the windshield. When he saw her crying, he ran back to the car, ripped open the back door, and crouched in front of her. She threw herself into his chest before she realized what she was doing. Her fists balled into his shirt, face buried against him as she sobbed without breathing. He held her tight, one hand on her head, the other gripping her waist like he was afraid she'd disappear if he let go. "I'm here," he whispered. "You're safe now." "Why would you walk into gunfire like that?" she cried. "Why would you do something so stupid?" "Because I can't lose you," he said. "Not again." She pulled back slightly, looking into his eyes. "Why me? Why are you so attached to me after all these years?" His thumb brushed her cheek, wiping her tears without breaking eye contact. "Because you're the first person I ever hurt, and the only one I've ever regretted." She swallowed hard. "That doesn't explain the marriage." "You're right," he whispered. "So I'll explain it properly this time." He sat beside her in the SUV, the garage lights flickering above them. "I've spent years becoming someone no one can touch, someone feared, someone untouchable. But every night I remembered the girl who used to brighten a classroom I never deserved to sit in. I made your life hell, I know. But I watched you fight back. I watched you survive. And the day I realized I loved you, I knew I had to keep you close, even if you hated me." Her breath caught. "Loved?" he continued. "Finding you again wasn't a coincidence. I searched, for years. And when I found you..." His voice cracked, his first real break. "I couldn't let you go." She stared at him as if seeing him for the first time. "I don't know what to do with any of this," she whispered. "I don't know how to feel." "You don't have to feel anything yet," he said gently. "Just don't run from me." She leaned back, overwhelmed. But then she realized He wasn't demanding. He wasn't ordering. He was asking. For the first time. She exhaled shakily. I won't run. His eyes softened. Then he stood, closed the door, and signaled his men to secure the area. Hours later, after the compound was stabilized, after the fires were put out and the dead were dragged away, he walked her to a quieter wing of the mansion, one untouched by violence. She stood in the doorway of the room he'd prepared, soft lighting, fresh sheets, a vase of white lilies, a quiet, safe space. You'll sleep here tonight, he said. I'll guard the door. No one gets near you. She stepped closer to him. You could come inside, just to talk. His breath hitched. If I step inside, he murmured, I won't stop at talking. Her cheeks flushed, her heart thumped wildly, not in fear this time, but something dangerously close to longing. Good night, she whispered. Good night, he echoed, voice thick. She slipped inside. He stayed in the hallway back against the door, guarding her like a man protecting the only thing left that made him human. Before sleep claimed her, she whispered into the quiet room. Maybe this marriage isn't the end of me after all. And outside, as if he heard her, the Mafia boss closed his eyes and breathed, for the first time in years, like a man who wasn't alone anymore. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. Your engagement keeps the channel alive and helps us bring more powerful narratives straight to you.